Alright, welcome students back to our lesson. We're looking at etiquette, and we just finished looking at some titles that are very important when referring to important people. The last one we looked was Mr., and we said it's used when we are referring to a respected man. Now, we have these three words. We have Mrs., we have Miss, and Miss. You'll find that initially, when it comes to male, you talk about either Mr. And the moment you use Mr. can either refer to any man. It will not denote whether the person is married or not. So we have a movement called feminine or feminist. And you find that they really would not prefer these two to be used. So they are advocate for this, Miss. Because Miss will not denote whether you are married or not. Now, whenever we use Mrs., it's a respectful title for a married woman, followed by her names, her husband's surname or her full marital name. Then we have Miss, and Miss is a respectful title. Again, now we're talking about Miss, is a respectful title for a woman whose marital status isn't clear or known. And then Miss is a respectful title for a lady who isn't married. So you find that most now will prefer to use Miss, MS, and the reason for that is it does not denote whether married or not. Just like Mr. will not denote or will not clearly show whether a person is married or not. Now, we have some titles for the army. We've got officer, cadet. We have lieutenant, we got the captain, we have major, then we have colonel, brigadier. We also have major, and then we have the field marshal, right? So those are different titles with different ranks. Now, we have some semi-formal situations. So we have the formal situation, then you have the semi-formal situations. So sometimes you can introduce or refer to a titled person in an informal occasion. In such a circumstance, avoid the formal titles. Example, you say, Dear Mr. President, meet Kenneth Award, Member of Parliament, Kaduni constituency. So in that case, you are not referring to your exile. It's a semi-formal situation. It's not purely a formal situation. That's why such kind of words will be. You know, when you talk about formal, you'll find that most presidents, they wear red ties. And you might ask yourself why. That's a sign or a symbol of power. So that's a very formal situation. So if you have to do an introduction, it has to be formal. Now, when introducing someone as a guest, it is important to include information about their interests and achievements as the tail end. Example, Mr. John Kamau, Managing Director, Kenya Seed Company. He is the founder of Salima Electronics Company and a senior member of the Catholic Church. So as we head to the tail, there we are. Now you start with the most important title he has. Please, or we are saying Mr. John Kamau, Managing Director, Kenya Seed Company. He is the founder of Salima Electronics Company and a senior member of the Catholic Church. You realize this, that most of the time in the media, when we have news being broadcast, you'll find that sometimes when this news anchor are introducing a guest, it's like an essay, right? You have to make sure you are very much fully aware of what that person do, and you start with the most important as you take to the other parts of the introduction. So that's a semi-formal situation. Alright, we have done well on introducing others. So sometimes we also need to introduce ourselves. And when you introduce yourself, there is a right way to introduce yourself. So when introducing yourself, do not start with any title. Just greetings. Then your full name before other details follow. You not say, I am Mr. So-and-so, the professor of, my name is, no. Start with the name and then. So for example, good morning, gentlemen. I am James Barasa, Professor of Mathematics at the University of Nairobi. So, I am James Barasa, Professor of Mathematics at the University of Nairobi. You start with your name, simply start with the greetings, then your name, and then what, or the titles or the other details that should be. Do not start with Mr. or Miss. Miss or Mr. No, it's not advisable to just say your name. At the end of the day, you know whoever is speaking, whether it's a she or a he. Then, when we make requests, so when making a request, use polite language, very important. The following phrases will help someone sound more polite. And which are these phrases? The first one is please. Please tell me the truth. Excuse me. Excuse me, lady. Have you seen my bag? And then, sorry, madam. I'm very late today. So, very polite words that are seriously magical and can change a certain reaction to be better and to be nice. Then, pardon me, Jane. I didn't get your instructions. So you prefer, no, but not saying again, no. The moment you say, pardon me, Jane, I didn't get your instructions right. I'm afraid. So when you use this phrase, used when you want to give a disappointing statement or an answer to someone who is probably expecting something positive. Oh, I'm very much afraid the amount you are asking for, I can't be in a position to provide it. Okay? I am afraid I do not have the book you wanted to borrow. So meaning, the person will not get. It's not a positive response, but in that case, it's a negative response. Then we have acknowledgements, and we do acknowledgement mostly. Someone has told you something good, and it's not wise to say, really, you mean it? That expresses doubt. Someone has told you and has commented on how smart you look, or how smartly dressed you are, or the good job you've done, and then you need to also respond to that. So when someone gives you something, you say thank you. And then he can answer in acknowledgement. You are welcome. Or it is nothing. Or don't mention it. The goal here is to sound as modest as possible. Is to sound as modest as possible. Then, again, I take you back to telephone etiquette. A reminder of what we looked at previously. But there are a few tips that we need to be aware of. So when making or answering a telephone call, the person on the other end of the line obviously cannot see. You will therefore be judged solely by what you say and how you say it. So it's very important on how you will communicate. So there are some few points that we need to note whenever we are having or making any telephone call or receive. Give a good impression of yourself from the beginning by being courteous, helpful, businesslike, and brief. Use polite language, that is, words such as, could you, may I would like to, would you please, and so on. Receiving a personal call. So this is a personal call, not a business call. So it's just a friend who is calling a friend. So opening words, hello, good morning, can be good afternoon, can be good evening. Choose according to the time of the day. Identify yourself if maybe it's a new phone. It's a new phone that's calling you and you are not aware of that. This is John speaking. It is considered rude to give yourself a title like Mr., Mrs., Miss, but professional titles like Doctor, Professor, and leave the titles Mr., Mrs., but give a professional title. Hello, this is Dr. Ali speaking. Right? There. Example, this is Engineer Wekesa. This is Engineer Wekesa. So, what about receiving a business call? When we receive a business call, opening one, greetings, good morning, good afternoon, and again, or good evening. Then identify your institution. You have reached Paradise Hotel of a high school, okay? Or you can say, ask you you are speaking to. So ask who you are speaking to in that case. Whom am I speaking to, please? And then ask how you can help. So how can I help you? It is rude to respond by asking the caller, what do you want? Or who are you? So making a call, your first words are said after the recipient's opening remarks. The greetings will depend much on how well you know the call. Hi Peter, what is up? This is Christian. How are you doing? This is Ndegwa speaking. Business calls. When making a business call, follow the procedure below. Greetings, good morning. Identify yourself. My name is Agnes Manyara. Say the reason for calling. Can I speak to Mrs. Wenani, please? And then ending the call. At the end of both personal or business call, it is customary for the recipient to thank the caller for calling. When talking, taking a message, it is in the office, use the following steps. Note down the message, write the name of the caller or his behalf and the institution the caller presents. Note down the date when the call was made. Note down the phone numbers so that it can be easier to call back. And then indicate whether your boss or you ought to call back or whether urgent. So that brings us to the end of our lesson today. And therefore, let's get those kits and use them wisely, and you'll find that we shall be having a very smooth running of our day. Have a lovely day.